For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble, and thanks for tuning in on your favorite podcast app. What are we doing on the show today? We are airing some dirty family laundry, or is it family dirty laundry? However you want to say it. I'm going to be dishing about my relatives and, even my own parents. And it's not widely known, but I don't have the closest relationship with my brothers or my parents. Now, it's got nothing to do, believe it or not, it's got nothing to do with the gay thing. I wasn't disowned because I'm a homosexual. In fact, they love my husband. My brothers would go to the gym with him because he's a big, muscle fitness guy. So I have a story to tell you about my parents coming up. And then also, my dad's side of the family gets a little bit gossipy. And it's not because people don't like each other or there's drama. They just like talking about each other. That's the best way I can describe it. So you just gotta stay tuned to hear the stories, all right? It starts on The Scribble right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
JB here, back on The Scribble. All right, so let's unpack this dirty family laundry that I teased you about a little bit, at the start of the show, just a minute ago. Now, it was almost 2 years ago that I told this story, but let me refresh your memory because I know everybody listens to a million podcasts and you've heard a ton of stories, so you don't remember this one, so I'll refresh your memory. A couple years ago, it was a Saturday afternoon, and I got together, my husband and I, we took the dogs, and we got together with one of my friends out at the lake. We were having just a nice afternoon, kind of just hanging out. We reconnected. We hadn't seen her her and her husband, we hadn't seen them in a while. So we spent our Saturday afternoon out at the lake. We went out there, and I didn't know it at the time, but my mom had texted me and asked if, she said the chicken was on sale at a store, chicken breasts, chicken was on sale, and do you want me to pick some up for you? Well, I didn't get that text message for a while, so there's really no sense in replying to that because, unless she was hanging out at the store for 7-8 hours, there's no point in saying anything, right? Oh yeah, get it for me, the next day. And it's like, well, you snooze, you lose, and that's fine. So do you get text messages like that? Not necessarily just from parents, but in general, like it could be something timely, right? And then you just haven't replied. So it's like, oh, well, you know what? I missed it because I was in meetings or my phone was off or it died for the day. And then, so it was just kind of one of those things. And it wasn't anything urgent, right? It wasn't, oh my God, so-and-so got into a car crash and they're in hospital. Call me. Chicken's on sale. Right? Like it, so we have a really nice Saturday afternoon. It was a really fun time. We had some laughs and, we get home at, whatever time. It was a summer afternoon, right? Like, especially now, I don't know about you, but I've talked about how I don't really pay attention to my phone. I don't really do social media. So on a weekend night, especially in the summer, like I'm not looking at the clock. So if you were to ask me, even the next day or on Monday, oh, well, what time did you guys get home on Saturday? I have no idea because I'm not looking at, you get what I'm saying, right? I'm not sitting and looking at, we got home at 10:30. Oh, we went to bed at midnight. I don't know, because we're in our own little zone. We're in our bubble. We had a great time. It was nice, reconnecting with one of the. I had to think about how long it's been since I've seen her, And it was about 18 years since I'd, seen her. That's almost, not quite, almost half my life. So we just had and it wasn't that we had a falling out. It was just, they have kids and they've started a life. I had a crazy career, traveling all over. And so it was just really sort of nice to pick up where we left off. And you'd think, okay, well, the last time you saw her, you were in like your early 20s and now you're in your 40s. She's in her 40s as well now. And it was like, yeah, because we just had a really good... Do you know, like, your teenage friends? Like, we had that out at the lake. Our group, we were together for, 4 summers or so until we all became adults and got jobs and didn't go out to the lake anymore with our parents. And it was just that time in your life where it was nothing serious. There was no, like, hooking up. It's not like this person was banging this person, that person was... But it was just true friendships. It was just teenagers hanging out. There was no sexual tension. There was no... It wasn't like that. It was so innocent. I don't know that you have that nowadays, but I could be wrong. So we had such a great time that I don't know what time I got home on Saturday. So go to bed, right? And then wake up Sunday. And the Sunday, we were going to the other side of the lake. Like there's cottages on kind of both sides of the lake. So there's cottages on the one side where we went to see my friend. And then we decided to go up to a casino north of the city, which I've heard all about, haven't been there before. Suzanne, one of our producers, went as well. So we had kind of a fun afternoon of like gambling. And then we went to a restaurant for dinner after. Well, apparently... my mom was freaking out. She ended up showing up at my house and she was ringing the doorbell frantically. She was like hammering on the doors and windows. She was standing on chairs in the backyard and calling my name through the windows, calling my dog's names through the windows as well. Now, the house was empty. Nobody was in the home. So... now, like I said, I wasn't around, so I was told this after, okay? So I'm setting you the scene for you. I was not there. I did not know this was playing out in the moment. So we're out having a great time, and she came in the afternoon, and then she came in the early evening, and apparently was like trying to open windows and trying to essentially, break into my house. And... so we come home, same thing like with Saturday. We come home, don't know what the hell time it is. And in our house, as I've talked about with the phone thing, we don't have phones in our bedrooms. Our phones, they stay downstairs, either on the kitchen counter charging or in the living room, but our phones are not in the bedroom with us. So even then, if you get a text from your mom at like midnight on a Sunday, well, I'm not going to reply back, or 2 a.m. or whatever the hell time it was. So I just left it again. But the thing to remember here, folks, is... I'm a grown-ass man. I guess I was 39 at the time. And I'm not under their roof. It's not like she pays for my house. I don't, So it's unreasonable to expect from the time that she had texted on the Saturday to show up at my house within about 5 or 6 hours. So you haven't heard from your kid in about 5 or 6 hours, and you go into panic mode. Now, the only reason that you are calling through the windows is that you think that your kid is like dead or, not able to get to the door or something. That's the only... You can't go and say, oh, well, I thought you were in the bathtub. That's why I was hammering on your door. No, you thought that I was dead, that something bad had happened to me. And, and then secondly, if you are calling through the windows, which we did, I think, had the kitchen window maybe open, and there's no reaction from the dogs. There's no barking. She doesn't hear the, click, click, click of the nails on the kitchen floor or whatever it was. Then nobody's home, right? Like that's just me. But then to show up again in the evening, same kind of a thing. And so, I don't know this is happening on Sunday. So we go to bed Sunday night after coming home quite late. And on Mondays, we do what we call Mimosa Monday. So we actually have an ice bucket of champagne and orange juice. We take it upstairs to our bedroom. And when we wake up Monday mornings, we have mimosa in bed before we even literally step foot out of the bed. We reach for the glasses that's right on the bedside table, and we have mimosa. That's just something that's been done since I retired at 39. So I had signed off the radio shows a couple months earlier, and that was something that we started doing then. And So Monday morning, we kind of sort of ease into the day because I don't have a schedule. I don't have to get to work at 8 o'clock or 8:30. Even with our team of, for our broadcast company and our publishing company, we don't really start until about 11:30, maybe even noon on a Monday is when I kind of get up and rolling with things. So a Monday morning is also a late start in our house. And so it's about 10 o'clock, I think, maybe 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And all of a sudden, you could hear some kind of talking, but I was like, oh, whatever. It's a summer Monday. Maybe the neighbor was off and she's outside or I don't know. I'm not downstairs. I can't see anything, but I can just, hear the odd voice. And then I was like, is that somebody calling my name? Did I just hear Jeremy? No, well, whatever. Then all of a sudden, so we're just about to, we pop the champagne lid or the not the cork, but the whatever is on it, and then we hear the house alarm going, office window, and I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on here? It's not like we're 4 o'clock in the morning in the pitch black and somebody's breaking in. I'm like, it's fucking 9:30, 10 o'clock or 10:30 in the morning. What's happening? So we're both upstairs in the bedroom, and I was like, okay, let's keep the dogs up here. I don't know what's going on. Now, again, we don't have a phone upstairs, so maybe that's part of the problem, right? Maybe we should at least have a landline up there. We do have cordless phones. We should have a landline so that we could call for help if something, happens. But who's thinking that somebody's breaking into your house on a Monday morning? Sure as shit, my mom is in the backyard standing on a chair and then I hear my dad later. She's climbing through my office window. Now, because the office in my house is a little bit different than your average home office, because years ago, even before the pandemic, we have a radio studio in our building at our office, which is what I'm in now. But when I was recording from home, after so many years and being the star of our radio shows, it was kind of like, you know what? I'm going to record the show from home this week if I want to, because I can. So we basically had a radio studio built in the spare bedroom of my house. So it's legitimately a radio studio. This isn't just like an office with a desk and then a plug-in microphone into your computer. I have a soundboard and we've got all the equipment. So because of that, the home office is alarmed like crazy. There's motion sensors. There's 4 window sensors on the 2 windows. There's a door on the inside in the house. So there's just a lot. If you try to break into my office, lots of people are going to hear about it. And that's exactly what happened. So she basically kind of ruined the window. She climbed through the office window is about, I'd say maybe 7 to 8 feet off the ground. It's not like a window that you just sort of walk up and you can look into. Like, you need to be standing on a chair and quite high up. So I guess my dad's outside holding the chair steady. And she basically climbed through the window. She tore the inside of my curtains. She shredded the sort of lining of the curtains. She knocked down some plants that were on a bookshelf right at the windowsill. And they were knocked down onto the ground outside. So when our dogs later went outside, they trampled these flowers and ruined them. And she basically, climbed through the window and then got through the office and then was standing in the hallway basically calling me. And I finally get to the top of the stairs. Now we sleep in underwear. I get to the top of the stairs and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck out of my house. And she's crying, but she's got these fake tears. Now, the thing to remember with a mom is going to sort of, remember, she's the victim in all this, right? She was worried. I'm just a worried mother. She was playing the victim. She's like, why are you being like this? Why are you doing this to me? Now, here's the thing. Months earlier, before my grandma died of corona, she had dementia and everything. She would do those fake tears because she didn't want people to leave. Now, I'm not mocking my grandma. I'm not saying anything bad about her, but I'm just saying her name was Elsie. We called it the Elsie tears, where she sounds like she's crying, but there's no tears coming. Well, wouldn't you know it? That's what my mom is doing in the hallway of my house. And so I'm swearing at her. I'm calling her a fucking psycho. I'm not even going to lie. Yes, I called my mom some horrible names and said the F-bomb probably more than I ever have in my life. Get the fuck out of my house. What are you doing? Then I hear my dad from outside. I didn't know that my dad was there. I hear my dad go, Diane, just get out of there. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's brought an entourage. There's other people here. What is happening? So then she goes, I don't remember if I said, I ended up just going back upstairs. I thought about it later. I said I should have told her to go right back out the window, though, and then leave that way. But instead, she goes to the back door, and that sets off the house alarm entirely. And I thought, oh my God. It was ridiculous. So then that's when I later find out from the neighbors she came to your house like 3 times, and, we have no idea who she is, but, we just assume that's your mom because, some old lady, coming in. And so that's what happened, was my mom took it upon herself to, climb through the window. Now, this led to a big debate and discussion where there's 2 sides to it, right? Your mom needs to, like, chill the fuck out, calm down, get her own life. And then the other side was, that's your mother. She was worried about you. You could have texted her back. That would just put her at ease. And that's, so I took these sides where, my brothers and sisters-in-law haven't spoken to me since this whole thing because I'm just the ungrateful kid, whatever. And I'm thinking, no, fuck off. This is my house. I am under no obligation to reply, not even to my own fucking husband. Am I required to reply to a text message within a certain amount of time? I get to it when I get to it, if I want to get to it. So up until that point, maybe I had responded to her text messages in a timely manner because we don't have the biggest social lives and, maybe we are around on a weekend usually. But the one fucking time where I decide to go out and have a nice weekend with the girls on Saturday and Sunday and my husband, that, for some reason it's being overshadowed by now this tragedy that's happening at home where she's stalking my property and the neighbors are concerned, wondering what's going on, and then now there's property damage and she's broken into my house. So I have not spoken really to my parents. I've seen them at the odd like family get-together, but I haven't really said more than, a couple words to them, maybe like hello. We crossed paths with my mom on my birthday when I was out and, just had a few 30-second chat with her, but that's the extent of my conversation. No happy birthdays, no going to Christmas with them. I just haven't. Now we do have our big family get together, so that's the extended side of my mom's family with my cousins and my aunts and uncles. So I still go to things like that, but not the immediate, like not my parents and my brothers. I haven't done anything with them. So after all that time of not seeing anybody, not having any interaction, I get a text from my cousin a couple days ago, and it says, "Oh, my mom, I just heard that about your mom. It sucks having a parent with cancer." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm sitting here going, how do I reply to that? Because basically he's telling me something that I didn't know. And I don't want to ask because that's also really awkward too, going, oh, what do you mean? Oh, I didn't hear anything because, it's my cousin. Why is my cousin telling me that? And so then and he knows, it's widely known what happened in the family, but I don't know that everybody realizes that I'm still not talking to them. I think they realize that there's some bad blood there, but not the silent treatment or the, So I basically wrote back and just said, well, I kind of removed myself. I cut ties with them, about a year and a half ago. So feel free to share what you know. So I didn't want to ask him, right? But I just said, feel free to share. And then he said, my mom said, she has, that would be my mom's sister. He said, my mom said that she's got breast cancer and that she's got surgery and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Good to know. So later that night, I get a text from my parents just have the one cell phone. I got a text from my parents' cell phone, and it's my mom, and it says, hi, Jeremy, just wanted to let you know I have breast cancer. I'm going for surgery. Also, your dad has prostate cancer, and he's going to be on medication or whatever for a few months, and then we'll see what goes on there. Hope you're doing well. And so then you've got this big debate and dilemma of, do I reply to that? Do I not reply to that? Again, this is where people have said, that's your mom, it's sickness, you kind of put things behind and you reply. And then there's the other side the people who know kind of the deep inner workings of the relationship with my parents. And it's not just a matter of the break-in, but it's also a matter of just being very unsupportive of my career over the years, being very skeptical, cynical, pessimistic, negative, naysayers, with everything in my life. So it's not, and let's be honest, for me to have been having the radio success that I was on, however many radio stations with how many hundreds of thousands of listeners, talking with celebrities, doing red carpets, being paid to vacation, best-selling book, 20 years of newspaper columns, I've had a very successful life. And I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know why there's such negativity, but there's always just kind of this. There was a scene on 2.5 Men years ago where Charlie Sheen and well, John Cryer, but Charlie and Alan are the brothers on the show. Their mom is very negative. So, you could cure cancer, but then she would say, well, it's too bad you couldn't save Uncle Richard before he died. And so it's always kind of, you have the good news, but then there's that negative sort of like dagger that comes with it. Right? Oh, hey, Mom, I just, graduated and blah, blah. Oh, well, that's going to find you a great job in the future, or just something. And so that's exactly what was happening. Hey, Mom, we're doing our Christmas shows in Mexico this year. Well, you better find somebody to get your dogs. I'm not taking them. Well, I didn't ask you to take them. I'm just telling you what's happening for work. When I got a newspaper column, again, 20 years ago. Hey, Mom, I just got picked up for a weekly column in this paper, that I was trying to get a column written and whatever. How do you know they're going to pay you? So it's things like that where you're just kind of like, hey, I'm telling my mom something kind of exciting, and how do you know they're going to pay you? Well, I mean, how do you know any job is going to pay you when you start doing it, right? You kind of have to give them 2 weeks of your life and then you get a paycheck, because that's just how things work. And so after a while, you just kind of stop doing that, right? You just sort of stop. And it's not even that I was telling her to get a pat on the head or applause or whatever. It was just like, no, this happened, when you have regular conversation. Oh, how was your day? What's going on? What's new in your world? And stuff like that comes up. And so you eventually just stop wanting to tell. So when she would call and ask about walking the dogs, I know that when we get to, I can tell that she's looking at something. She's either looking at that person's car on the street, she's looking at their fence or their grass or their flowers or their front door or something. I can already see when she's looking at something and know that a comment is coming. That's how walking the dogs with her. So it's only an hour or hour and a half of my life, but it just, even the tone of the entire conversation when you're walking is just so negative, and you're just like, oh my God. Now, I haven't lived with my parents in, it's over 16 years now, so it's not like but when you're removed from that negativity, right? We have a very, very positive outlook on life and in our home, because I retired 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. So I have no stresses in my life. I have a lot of money, so I'm not concerned about that. It's just, my husband we have a great relationship. I manage his modeling career. He goes on a modeling shoot, makes a couple, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. And we're set then for a few months, even if we don't want to do that. And I'm not getting into my finances here, but I got a lot of money. Don't worry. I don't have to work again if I don't want to. So it's kind of weird where you think that would be a good thing, right? A parent would kind of be happy. Hey, my kid retired at 39 years old and now he's pissing around his house all day and sleeping until noon or whatever. But instead, it's negative, right? She would tell me that I'm getting bored at home. That's so boring. Oh, you're just going to go stir crazy. Well, I'm not. So shut up and move on. That's kind of the way things were. So when you're removed from it and you only get that 1 hour of subjected to 1 hour of that, when you're exposed to that for 1 hour, then when she goes, you kind of come home, and she wasn't making me feel bad about my life. Like I said, she had to work at a job for 30 some years before she could retire. I was able to do it, and she was in her 60s. So for me, it was kind of like, I'm so glad that I'm a happy person. I'm so glad that I don't have a negative view on my life. And I think that maybe part of it was that she got that from my dad. My dad is a very negative person. He's the old curmudgeon, and he's got that reputation in our family. So when they retired, he retired first. She retired a couple years later. Now you're together 24/7. That's going to rub off on you, I think. And so they've just together become very negative people. And so the break-in, and then just all of those years of negativity, and sort of, not if you're trying to make me feel like shit, but the things that you're saying are seemingly intending to not make me be a happy person. When you remove that and go, wow, it's almost like leaving an abusive relationship. If you've ever had to dump a partner because it was just always something like that, always criticism, always just you can never do anything right. You're always dressed the wrong way, or you've got the wrong shoes, and you can't cook, or you can't whatever. Once you cut that loose, you're just like, wow, this is freedom now. I'm a happier person. And so even just for that 1 hour and a half of once a week, or however often we were going and walking the dog, but just once you cut that out. And that means even the family get-togethers, Easter, birthdays, anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, whatever. Even then, if it's only a few hours at a time, but I just don't want to be around that. So fast forward now to this cancer thing, the double whammy of cancers. that's where people are going and saying, well, that's wrong. But the thing is that it's not just, oh, you're still holding a grudge, you're still bitter and chip on your shoulder for the window thing, but she was just a mom looking out for you. No, what this has done is made me go and say, it's all those years of mistreatment, of emotionally beating me down, even just when you come into my house and you look around and there's dishes in the sink and you have this look of disgust on your face. Fuck off. It's not your sink, it's not your dishes, it's not your kitchen, you don't have to eat in here. See ya. Keep your opinions to yourself. And there were even times when I did say that. If she'd come over and offer to, I don't know, whatever, help me do something in the house, I did actually have to say that once or twice. You come here, I don't want to hear about my kitchen, I don't want to hear about this, and then we'll do whatever it is. But you're not going to come into my home, verbally beat me down and make me feel like shit because I have money to have a house cleaner and she's coming this weekend. So if there's dishes in the sink or there's whatever on the counter or there's a pot or pan on the stove, that's her job to come and do it. It's not that we don't have, there's not stuff mold and there's not, filth and whatever, but it's just not to your standard as, a housekeeper or whatever the hell. So fuck off. And it's my house. There's that separation. And clearly she did not see the separation because she just thought that she had the power to enter my home and, that, oh, well, I'm the mother and that's my son and I'm just going to break in. Not according to the law. Sorry. That's not how that works. And think about that. If she were to call the cops and go and say, oh, I need a wellness check on my son. I need a wellness check. Okay, what happened? What happened? He hasn't replied to my text message. Okay, well, how long has it been, ma'am? It's been 5 hours. They would laugh and tell her to fuck right off. And they would hang out. You know what, lady? 5 hours and your son hasn't. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon in the summer. Really? Chill the fuck out. Maybe after 5 days, 7 days, 11 days, a month, give us a call. 5 hours? Fuck off. So that's my question to you now, listeners out there in podcast land. What do you think? Are you able to just kind of put that aside after, 20 years of you trying to slug it out, be an entrepreneur, make something of yourself in those formative years of your professional life? It's not, I don't even know if it's a matter of, are you a big enough person to do it? It's kind of, do you want to, right? Do you want to even have a relationship with these people? Because they're not going to change. I could easily confront her, which I ended up doing by text message, but they're already wrapping me up because I basically used this entire show on that story. But, if you know they're not going to change, and that's just the way they are, then is it worth it in the end? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Do you stand your ground and go and say, you know what, we're just different people. We just have a different outlook on life. That negativity isn't allowed in mine anymore. Best of luck to you. Do you cut ties? It's interesting. I saw a couple days ago on Instagram or whatever, something about, everybody makes a big deal about family is blood and whatever. But you know what? Sometimes there's bad blood. Not all blood is good. Just because it's blood doesn't mean that it's a good thing. And basically somebody who has a not so great relationship with their family. And that's something, I think we've talked about that too, where people go and put so much emphasis on. And I realize that just because these people are my brothers or my parents, whatever, it doesn't mean they're looking out for me. It does not mean they're looking out for me. And you know what? You look out for number one. Number one is you. And so if you just kind of realize that, yeah, I can't deal with it. Even if we only have a few hours at Thanksgiving or whatever it is, there's any conversation is going to be just critical or negative about my life. I know that they don't care about asking or finding out what's going on in my life. I don't care about theirs. If we just do each other a favor and part ways. What do you think? Again, live at jbonair.com, live at jbonair.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
JB here, back on the Scribble. Oh, we are heading into supersized Scribble territory. We haven't had one of these shows in a while, but that story about my parents, I didn't plan to recap the entire drama thing with my parents, but you sort of have to set the scene, right? And I am a storyteller, and that was a very long story, but you have to hit the points to kind of get to the backstory and then to the current, the present day situation. The other one that I teased at the top of the show was my cousin on my dad's side of the family. Now again, there's really, I have nothing against my cousins on my dad's side of the family. We don't see each other all that often. I don't really know much about them. I would have no problem, if one of them said, hey, I'm in the area, do you want to do lunch or something? I would. I've got nothing against anybody. But so they kind of like to just sort of chatter about like what's happening in each other's lives. And so one of my cousins, she was married to a guy. She went to the Philippines and she married a guy there. They came back to Canada and they were married and they had 4 kids together. And they split. Now, you have to remember, like I said, we haven't had like direct sort of, I don't want to say that it's gossip or hearsay, but we don't know the ins and outs of their relationship. This is what I'm getting at. So there were, there's something about cheating, but like I'm not making allegations about anyone in particular, but we just heard cheating. We don't know if it was him, her, what the deal is, okay? So bottom line is their relationship broke up and they have 4 kids together. So he, does his thing, and then she apparently went onto a dating app and met a guy in Amsterdam. This was a little over a year, almost about a year and a half ago. And she ended up taking one of the kids and goes to Amsterdam to visit this guy. And so I thought that was kind of odd, because I understand not taking 4 kids, because let's be honest, I'm not a straight guy, but that would be overwhelming if it's going to be the first time that you're meeting your quote-unquote girlfriend, your online girlfriend. But even then, going with one kid kind of seems a little baggagey, if you know what I mean. Nevertheless, she took the one kid, I'm guessing dumped the other 3 with the dad, and went to go meet this guy. And they have this big, whimsical, romantic whirlwind romance. Think Bachelor dates, right? The show Bachelor. Think stuff like that, where it's kind of like, wow, it's, oh, life is great. Oh, I'm being treated like a princess. Oh my God, he loves my kid. Oh, that's not his daughter, though. And then, of course, it makes for great social media content because she's got all these wonderful pictures of this man cuddling, and they're going for... On the surface, if you were to look at the pictures, you would think that those 3 are a family. Just in the way that, these are the mom and dad and the daughter. Not so, for those who are in the know. And so they have this meeting last, I guess it's a year ago now, in Amsterdam. She went there to visit. And then she, of course, comes back to Canada and does the... missing my baby, can't we just see you again? And it's like, oh my God. Then a couple months after that, the guy posts a message or posts something on Facebook to say he's looking forward to coming to Canada. He's thanking her for a car that she's buying him and a trip to Los Angeles. Now, I don't know about my cousin's finances, but I do know that it's expensive as hell to raise 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, and 4 kids. Yes, they have a dad, so it's not like I'm assuming there's financial support there, or else he would potentially be in jail. But even then, even on 2 incomes, 4 kids is a lot. I have a lot of money, as I said earlier, but I think I would even struggle with 4 kids. No, actually, no, I wouldn't. That's not true. But anyway, so he does this kind of like thanking thing, and so of course now the cousins are all calling around going, did you see that post? Like, what the fuck is that? Is she giving him money? Like, is she basically just, and where's she getting this money if she's giving it to him? Like, what is happening? And so we've been kind of monitoring this story for a little while, and then it was last September, so I don't know, was it 6 months ago, 7 months ago, whatever, she apparently was back in Amsterdam. And and I said to one of my cousins who I go for dinner with all the time, we talk several times a week. I said, She's trying to lock this guy in. Like she's gonna be getting knocked up, isn't she? This like I can just tell. Like I don't know that cousin very well, but I'm kind of like the way the desperation of the posts about love. I'm just like, oh God. Well, we find out that baby number 5 with daddy number 2 is on the way. And naturally, that, of course, sparks a whole bunch of back and forth messages and calls and texts and whatever going, what the hell is she doing? What's going on? What the fuck? Now, this is where you would say it's none of your business, unless she's like asking you for money or she's trying to get you to babysit all the time or dump the kids off with you so that she can go. It's none of your business. Stay the fuck out of it. And I agree with that. But at the same time, this is where you look at that and go, but this is a family member, and if we all see red flags and go, okay, wait a second, you're the one always posting lovey-dovey shit on his page, he's never reciprocating that. Now, you could go and say that guys aren't like that, and he wouldn't. Okay, fine, I can see that. But why is he not even... Like, she's making videos about him, talking, saying how she loves... Remember, she's in Canada, he's over there. She's doing all these things. He never even mentions her in videos. He never even does, like, anything. He's never, so I'm kind of like, oh, she's being that gay boy that I was years ago in my 20s when I was like desperate for attention, throwing myself at guys. And now we're just kind of like, oh God, she's pregnant. So she's trying to lock this dude in. She's thinking that now at the same time, that's even trickier because this guy's in another country. So like, so what now? You know, so that's fine. He's going to come here. He's going to come back, I'm assuming, when the baby's, going to be born or whatever it is. Is he going to be sending you money? Is he just going to go and say, yeah, see ya, fuck off? He's got no obligation if he's, who knows where around the world. And then it's just going to be all sorts of messy. So that's what I'm saying is that as family members, you want to have these conversations. Go, I mean, it's too late now, right? Because we're in the home stretch of the pregnancy at this point. But like, there's options if it's not, but and so what we started to do a bunch of, looking at seeing how much it actually costs to raise a kid. So we just, some of my other cousins have younger kids. My dad's side of the family, our first round of cousins, like our generation, already has kids that are now in their 20s and 30s. So it's a little bit of an older group. And so one of my younger cousins, she's 34, I think. She's got 2 kids with her husband. And so she was even saying, she's like, well, no, we've got really good paying jobs, but it's expensive as hell to raise these 2 kids. And so we kind of figure out, you look at this, she's going to have 5 kids. One of them is going to be in daycare. One's going to be in elementary school. One's going to be in junior high. One's going to be in high school. And then the other one obviously will just be born. So you'll have an infant. But that's, even if you just look at things like, is everybody going to have a vehicle when they start to drive? What about cell phones? You're going to have that family plan of your cell phones. You're going to have potentially, if this guy ends up moving to Canada and living, you're going to have a household of 7 people. So your family plan is your Wi-Fi is going to be through the roof. You're going to need to have, your Wi-Fi usage, not your Wi-Fi, but you're going to need some sort of like crazy ass modem or whatever they call it now. And then even just think, whether it's bus passes for school, clothing, everybody's going to need phones, and phones are what, $1,000 or however much a phone is. And then, of course, the clothing. And even just, they don't, she's not living in an actual standalone house right now. It's I believe it's called a duplex, right? Is that where it's like 2 houses stuck in one building? So even just think about that. Comfortably, a home of, family of 7 people, you're going to need at least, 5 bedrooms? Right? So that's going to be an upgrade to a home. So if you're renting or, whatever the deal is, I don't know that they have apartments that have 4 or 5 bedrooms in our dumpy city of Winnipeg, but, so you're probably going to need an upgrade in your living situation, in your living quarters, in your vehicle situation, because, one's going to have a band practice, one's going to have a doctor's appointment, one's going to have to go to school for a play, one's going to have, something. You're going to have, yeah. And so you kind of look at this and go, girl, give your head a shake. Give your head a shake. Come on now. There's nothing wrong with him stepping in and being a stepdad to your, kids. He already met the one that he was playing house with when you guys were there. But yeah. So this is the reason I'm telling you the story, is that I want to ask you, would you say something to your cousin? Giving you the background that my dad's side of the family isn't super close, right? But you kind of if you know better, right? If you can look at a situation and say, okay, here, I have some insight. Let me, talk to this, let me say something. You're not lecturing her. You're not nagging her. You're not telling her she's stupid. You're not saying anything like that. But you kind of just want to talk and maybe get a little more information about it so you can, draw conclusions. Maybe help, talk her through something if need be. What would you do? Or, as I said, everybody just kind of does their own thing and who the fuck cares what she does? Whatever, you're not super close, it's not affecting you, leave her alone. I'm not saying that we're intruding or getting involved. I'm just saying we're concerned because this could be a financial problem for her. And you don't want to see a family member. You don't want to see that, right? Well, except the cancer thing. If your parents have cancer, that's no. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com. Live@jbonair.com. Back in a moment to wrap up the show on the Scribble.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here, back on the Scribble. I have to laugh because our team here, we produced radio together. Well, we still produce radio together. It's going on, I don't even know, is it 18 years now? 19 years. And over the 15 years that I was hosting our Top 40 music show, we became very, very militaristic, I guess would be the word. When I say that, I mean, like, things were done down to the second. And that's just how broadcasting is, or traditional broadcasting is for radio and television. That, if you have a 2-hour show, you are off at like 8:59. You are not going past the 9 o'clock hour because, your time is up. So we just became very, very regimented in that way, where it's a 30-minute show, it's a 30-minute show. So doing a podcast now, we've kind of just said every week the show is going to be 30 minutes. And that's just because we want there to be not the expectation, but just kind of set the precedent that what you're going to get. It's going to be 30 minutes. That's it. What I don't like about some podcasts, like Bill Maher, he's entertaining, so I'll listen to him, right, called Club Random. But then you'll have some podcasts, like Chris Cuomo's, podcast, some it's like 10 minutes, and then another one, it's an hour and a half. And I like to have that structure to it, going, okay, this is something that I can listen to an episode when I'm walking my dogs. I walk the dogs for about an hour and a half. Okay, it's roughly around that time. Great. So we've always just done the podcast that way. And then there have been episodes like this one that run a little bit, into the 40-minute mark or even into the hour mark, depending on what we're talking about. But generally, we like to keep things. So they're freaking out across the way when that first story ended up being the entire 30-minute show. And I could see them out of the corner of my eye, like, almost in a panic. Maybe even in a huff, they're mad at me. And then we always have to realize, you guys, we have no time restrictions on this. If I want to talk another 20 minutes, we can do that. We're good. We're not cutting into another show. We're not, but I'm not following my own rules, which is if I do 30 minutes on the treadmill, 30 minutes to the second, well, that's how long the show is. So I know that I can listen to Jeremy Bradley on the Scribble for 30 minutes. That's my treadmill. That's my listen on the treadmill. So here we are. Another one of those weeks where I ran a little bit long. And if I want another 5 minutes, I will do that. But what do you think about, the stories that I've shared today? Like I said, they're fairly personal in some regard, right? I'm kind of talking about people's dirty laundry, talking about my own personal life, and the years that I was on the radio, I never really opened up about my family life, and really I've only started talking about my husband, my own marriage over the past couple of years, because, well, first of all, hosting the Top 40 show, it wasn't really about me anyway. It was about our celebrity guests or the music or entertainment headlines or, whatever we were doing. So I didn't have that opportunity so much to, go on about my husband, whatever. It just wasn't the place. But now when you've got a podcast, and it's not like I'm naming names and, I don't have anybody linked on my on my Facebook page, no, linked as my brother, and I'm not tagging people. I've never done that. So it's not like I'm exposing them where you're going to go onto my Facebook page and be like, oh, because here's the thing is that I don't even have the same last name as my family. So you wouldn't even know. It's not like you're going to go and find, Sam Bradley or whoever, because they don't have my last name. So you can go to my Facebook page, you would have no idea who they are. And same thing with my cousin. It's not like I'm naming her and, giving her details. So it's interesting, though, because I like to hear your thoughts on things. We all have weird family relationships or dynamics. And, how do we deal with them, right? Are you the bigger person? Do you go and say, okay, look, mom and dad, let's put away the 20 years that you shit on my life and everything about what I do. And now I'm going to have sympathy for you. Is that the mature thing to do? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Right? Maybe they, as the parent, the older people, should be the one to kind of go and say, hey, my mom is the one who fucked up, right? But she doesn't see that she did anything wrong, because it's as simple as apologizing and paying for the property damage, and this could all potentially be done. But if you don't see that you've done anything wrong, even after all these years, then we're kind of at a standstill. So send me an email again, the address live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com, and tell me if you have any sort of weird family situations or stories that we can discuss. We do that segment, Ask JB. I would love to hear, give me an email, give me the rundown. Maybe we'll have a phone call. Maybe we'll even just chat about it. If it's too long to write, let's talk about it. And I'd love to hear it. live@jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Talk to you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter @The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real